Okay, okay. Thank you for that. See, that's what I that's what I need to. That's the kind of reaction that I need to have every time when you guys let me know if you hear me or not. So Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. And Chris said, "Good evening, Mehran from England." I think, what did I say? Originally, I said, "Oh, yeah, it must be 7 or 8 o'clock at night there." And Tammy Raju says, hello, Mehran. You have helped me a lot in HOCD recovery. I don't even think about it a lot. Yeah, good. And says, Tan May also says, we can't hear you. Oh, there he is. Yeah. we fixed that one up. And Chris also says, we can't hear you, Mehran. No, you can. It's a delay news. Dean Dovries. Have I butchered the name? Or let me know, Dean or Dan, age and where you're tuning in from, please. Hang on, guys. While you put your questions in, I'll pour some hot water in my tea. All right, we're back. So, where are your questions then? Are you here to watch my face? I know I'm good looking, but not that that good looking. So, where are the questions? Hmm, my favorite spot in the world. That's my yacht. I've sent it to be washed. And this is Black Rock, not the evil Black Rock that is messing up the world, just the Black Rock in Hawaii. Ah, my heaven on earth. All right. And Dan says, Holland. Dan, do I have to pull your teeth to get the info? How old are you? And from your name, I think you're male, but then please clarify, if you will. Chris says, coming back here on your channel this week is like rediscovering an old friend. Ah, okay, Chris, thank you for that. Says, it is good to sit and chat and listen to you with the tea and crumpet. Yeah, okay, there's no crumpet. Maybe a trumpet, but no crumpet here. And and Dan says male 47. Thank you for that. Was that too hard? To give it to me in doses. So, and Chris says I'm 31, male from England. Thank you very much for that. So I hope you guys have your own tea in your hand, and hope life is treating you well. I can't believe I'm 67 years old. It's such a kick in the nut. I still see myself as that 25-year-old boy was riding horses and taking part in equestrian competitions, and all my teenage life, all I had in mind, even at school, during math class or whatever it was, or maybe philosophy, whatever the hell it was doodling horses and thinking about the parkour the next day. In high school, some people were into different things, different hobbies, and mine was horseback riding. It's just crazy about it. What a childhood! What a teenage life! Couldn't be better. Unfortunately, these days, I don't think young people have the same kind of a quality childhood and teenage life as we did. It's different, it's enjoyable for them, but it's somewhat different. Environment is different, the society values are different. Society pressure and misdirections are increased in this day and age, and it I believe it's hindering the natural flow of life for every young person, interferes in their natural growth and development and the natural flow of what life has to offer and how things will unfold. There are lots of interference by the society and politicians and bullshit that takes them away from their nature and tries to indoctrinate them into things that it's neither relevant to them or not the time to be focused on. And that starts from very, very early childhood these days. And to me, that's unfortunate that these psychopaths who claim to be setting the standards of behavior and interactions in the society find themselves qualified to actually change the nature of the people and distract them from what is our God given right to be developed and grow into, as naturally it is for each one of us. Having said that, Tammy Raju says, I'm a male 16 from India. Okay, good. Thank you for that. Chris says, you look fit as a feral Mehran. What do you do to keep fit? Well, I go to the gym pretty much 5 nights of the week for heavy workout, uh, um, resistant workout with weights and all. And I don't shy away from a good heavy weight and workout. And then the other 2 nights, if I don't work out, which I don't, I give the body a rest, I still do the cardio somewhat, either just a regular walk by the beach for an hour or in the gym on the treadmill or stepmaster, something to increase and keep the heart in shape as much as I can. And I try to eat healthy. I don't eat junk. And that's it. That's I want to die healthy. that's my that's my ultimate goal. I hate to be frail and you know. So Jose F. Caraballo Rivera. Jose, I gotta bring a truck to just carry your name. What the He says, hi, Jose Caraballo, 24 male from Puerto Rico. Ah, Puerto Rico. Land of beautiful girls, beautiful women. We had a girl from Puerto Rico in our university. She was probably one of the most beautiful things ever. Everybody had their eyes on her. um, and it says, how do we deal feeling blame from the big mistakes we've made? And how to not let the opinion of others and specifically family affect us so hard? Yeah, it's a very good question. I'm sure every one of us, including myself, have dealt with that at one time or another, or maybe still at times deals with that. The way to deal with it, if possible, I mean, it should be the only way is possible is to do it because Nobody's going to hand it to you. Is to understand that, first of all, as long as you have performed and done whatever it is that you could have done based on the best decision you could have made at the time, that's good enough. The rest of it doesn't matter what they think and what their values or how they look upon you, because they themselves, those people that you worried about their opinion, they themselves have so much shit in their pants, and there's so many misjudgments and mistakes they have made, and they themselves are looking for somewhere to be exonerated for their mistakes. So don't think you're being judged by a bunch of people who are saints. You're being judged by a bunch of people who have not been able to deal with their own problems and shortcomings in life and mistakes in life. And they're now trying to elevate themselves because of the shortcomings and mistakes they've made by destroying or looking down upon somebody else to make themselves feel good, because they don't have the talent and ability to fix um, or redo whatever it is that's gone in their life. And they are not capable of actually understanding and resolving the issues that they have psychologically or otherwise socially. Instead, they think by putting someone down, looking down upon somebody else, blaming other people, pointing their faults, or accusing them falsely just to create that kind of an atmosphere, it makes them elevate in their own mind and in the mind of the person that is being victimized. So on that note, the philosophical and scientific way of approaching that is to not give a fuck. And that is a very very true statement, that that's the only way to deal with these things, because you don't owe them anything. All you owe is to yourself if you've done your best with the knowledge available to you and capabilities and abilities and possibilities at the time that you were facing that. The rest of it is bullshit. In other words, as the Italians say, don't worry about it. Because it's all in your mind and you're being affected by their posture and trying to blame you while there's so much shit in their own life and mistakes that you're not even focusing on. So just throw that whole thing out and don't worry about it. And Chris says 5 nights a week is a good workout schedule and good to do cardio, keep healthy blood. Yeah, that's what I can do. Especially that I, I never thought or expected to have blood pressure, and I do, a high blood pressure. So the more exercise I do, the better it is. Because all my life I lived relatively healthy. I wasn't a drinker. I don't even drink coffee. I don't smoke. I didn't do any drugs ever. Yet, and I always in sports. Yet, I developed blood pressure. Perhaps because I take things very seriously, maybe too seriously. I'm too sensitive, maybe, for many things that goes on in this world. And again, as our friend said, family matters and things that I'm focused on. That and being a bit of a perfectionist is a problem. And these are the things that I've tried to balance and bring to understanding of its irrelevancy rather than trying to have that kind of a image. So my suggestion to you is to just, again, don't give a shit. Just do your best. That's all you can do. And Rajesh says, me and my girlfriend got separated 4 months ago, but she started talking to me again. But as we both know, there is no possibility of marriage between us. Okay. Still, I get irritated when I hear her parents started seeing new alliances for her. Should I continue to talk to her? Well, if you can always understand that you're not going to be marrying her, um, then with that in mind, if you want to, okay. And to be on the safe side, have other girls that you talk to and associate with while you're talking to her. Because if you don't, then you'll be talking to her thinking that she's your girlfriend, and that makes you more involved and it gets you hurt when they arrange a husband for her. And just really fucked up. It really messes you up. So talk to her as a friend, but have interest and eyes on other girls and get yourself away from this relationship, which obviously is not your fault or her fault, but it's not going to happen as to your tradition and whatnot. So therefore, might as well prepare and get to know other girls and have a balance in life that way. But it is the way things are, maybe culturally there, maybe it is advisable to just limit your discussions with her because you're a man and you're going to be more infatuated with her, and it would be like forbidden fruit, and you'll be more and more interested in her because knowing that she's willing but you can't have her because of her parents, but knowing that she's willing, that is going to be difficult for you to handle, for anyone. And Tammy Raju says, when I was much younger, Tammy, how old are you now? Let me see. How much younger are we talking about? You're what? Okay. It'd be good if you guys, in every question, just add those three codes: age, gender, where you're tuning in from. Like if I know your gender, at least age and where you're tuning in from. So I don't have to look for it because I can't find it here. Tammy. 16. So when you were much younger than me, when 8 years old, says when I was much younger, I was really interested in football, but where I'm from, cricket is the predominant sport. Yeah, then you're from India, right? Pakistan and India, they're big on cricket. And says my dad always forced me to play it. I never really understood him. He always bullied me because he loved you. And for a man, his son is an image of him. That's his only way to make himself somewhat immortal. So his interest was to introduce you to things that he always liked. And so basically, that was the motivation, not that he wanted to bully you for any reason, just so that he could have more things in common with you and to make sure that you are part of the whole um, male society as it is culturally, um, practiced. Al loves Japan. Says, hi, Meran, woman 26, Romania. Hello there. Says, do you believe that in today's society, it is harder for a woman this age or older to find a good man? Are you kidding me? Let me get my ugly stick and beat you on the head. You're 26-year-old, for heaven's sake. You're so young, you can't even see it. You think you're old? 26-year-old is the most one of the most amazing levels of life, stages of life for a woman. 26, 28, 30, 32, 35. These are all amazing times of a woman that she's perfect. She becomes really perfect when she's 40 years old. And if she is taking good care of herself, nutrition, exercise, and her spirit, all of that package, age 40, she's wise, she's educated, she's got a career, and she has experience in life, and she knows the value of her own beauty. She's in good place in her own skin, and she takes care of herself. She understands sexuality. She has had experience to know what it is, how it is to be sexual and sexy. So she feels good about herself, and she knows that she's cherished with the way she carries herself. So age 40 is really the prime time of a woman if she has taken good care of herself and if she knows and uses the experiences that she has had during that time. Dan says, question: I find the hardest struggle is how to respond to the OCD triggers, thoughts, urges, weird ideas, ruminating, checking. Use oatmeal for high blood pressure. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, all these things are probably good, but there's no one thing that is going to take care of it. So I had to give in, and after God knows how many years, I had to take pills. So I'm trying to do my best so I don't have to get higher dosage of pill, hopefully. In regards to OCD, Dan, there is a video I have in regards to how to rewire your brain. And I'm going to put it here for you. And plus, anyone who has goes on my site, makes an appointment for a Skype chat, Skype discussion, where we discuss what's concerning you in all these issues: relationship, thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, OCD, OCD subsets, and so on. We discuss in detail the components of the brain that are involved in this malfunction or disorder. And if someone happens to wish to have an appointment with me, on that appointment, I will also add if it's about OCD, the four steps in writing in text, as Dr. Schwartz has explained, based on his work and his teaching, and that would be text. But in the meantime, I have a video which completely addresses and understands and discusses that, where you can use that video to understand what to do in regards to rewiring yourself using um, the four steps that Dr. Schwartz has designed, and through neuroplasticity. So let's see if we can get this here down for you. Hmm. Okay, it's called Explaining Dr. Schwartz the Four Steps for OCD Sufferers, based on his video on the topic. So here it is, my take and explanation of his teaching. There it is. And again, if you guys wish to discuss your issues one on one privately on Skype, you can go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, www.mindthatseekstruth.com. Make an appointment and we'll discuss what's concerning you one on one on Skype. Shelby says, hello, I need help. I have been diagnosed with OCD for 2 years, and for 5 months, I have severe HOCD, false attraction, false feelings like pleasure, excitement, attraction, and it looks very, very real. Yes, it does. That's what OCD behaves. That's how it works. It looks like it's real, but it's all a malfunction in the signaling system of the brain. And you got to understand the involvement of amygdala, the system that is trying to send you emotional danger signals while it doesn't exist. So in other words, it's a false signal, and the false signal to the brain acts as if it's a real signal because brain can't tell. You know, you hear knock on the door, you can't see behind the door to verify if there's someone really knocking on the door or not. All you did, you heard knock on the door, and knock on the door always in your memory, your experience is interpreted as someone is behind the door. So you believe that someone is knocking, not that it's just a knock on the door. Hmm? Until you open the door and say, oh, bogus, there's nobody here. So I must have heard something, but I reacted as if it's real because that's how the brain makes the body react. Brain doesn't know because brain lives in virtual world. It's not living in the actual world. So the signals are what gives it the idea if something is real or not the fact that it can actually be sure that if something is real or not. The signals dominates and directs it. And when the signals are false due to malfunction of the signaling system, whether it's amygdala or with striatum, in the striatum, the caudate nucleus is malfunctioning, it's still going to believe according to the malfunction or the signals, be it right or wrong, it just acts as if everything that it hears are credible. It cannot tell that it's not credible signal is coming. That's up to you because you're not the brain and brain is not you. You're above the brain. You're the awareness. You're the one who watches what the brain is saying and doing and reacting and acting. So you have the judgment. You are the physician for your brain. You are the knowledge center, which is not the brain, is separate from the brain. And I've shown that you're not the brain and brain is not you. Of course, works of Dr. Philipson, Dr. Schwartz, Dr. Jan Weiner, all these are many brilliant doctors, such as Dr. Speary, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, Dr. Leibet, all their uh, laboratory special examinations and special experiments, Nobel Prize winning echelon type of experiments, have shown and proven beyond the shadow of the doubt that you're not the brain, brain is not you. But I've also used other ways of delivering that message to you and proving it to you using quantum worlds and quantum physics experiments that was done in order to show what is in the actual experience and what happens when they actually want to observe the movement of something in the quantum world, and then how it changes itself when there's an observer. Then they can see the observer is actually outside of the experiment that is being done. And as soon as an observer is there, the effects of and movements of and actions of that what is being experimented changes. Because when in the quantum world, when it becomes noticeable that something is witnessing what is being done, it changes itself, which proves what's witnessing is separate from what is actually doing what it's doing. So for you, if you simply to look as your awareness, as you're outside of the brain, as you're not part of the brain, and brain is not you, you're not the brain. If you just focus right now, close your eyes and imagine the real estate of your brain, however you imagine it, nooks and crannies, all neurons, all some kind of space anomaly, whatever you want to think of it, under the rocks, rooms, however you imagine the real estate of your brain is. If you start looking for a thought, all these thoughts that show up and ruminates and all these things that you think they're real and they happen to images and thoughts and suggestions that the brain produces, all that is there, right? But I want you right now to close your eyes and look for those thoughts, any thoughts that is being born in the real estate of the brain, as you imagine the real estate of your brain being nooks and crannies, rooms, neurons, whatever it is that you imagine your brain looks like. Look for them in those rooms and nooks and crannies and the neurons, and try to see if there is a place where a thought is being born. Just look for it. Look for it and see if you can find a thought that is being born. While you're looking at this real estate, there's no thoughts. Why? Because you are outside of the brain and you're observing what's happening inside the brain. And the brain in the quantum world, as it happens in the laboratory in quantum physics and the experiments that the scientists have done, quickly changes its function because you're outside of the brain. If you were part of the brain, it would not change its function. It would still continue as it always does, ruminating, making thoughts, and coming up with images and so on. They did an experiment in laboratory, and they fired electron guns through a steel plate with one slot through it. So they fired, and the electron gun went through the slot of this steel plate and made the impression in the behind wall, at the behind wall. So the impression was one line, one straight line. Now they added a second slot on the same steel plate. Then they fired the gun, and they saw, instead of 2 lines, there were like 20 lines. Scientists wondered why 20? Why they're overlapping? So they said, we want to observe. They put an instrument to measure and observe what's happening inside that experiment, the machine. As soon as they put the experimental measuring observer, watcher, then they fired the electron guns. Guess what happened? There were no more 20 lines. There were 2 lines. Because the electrons quickly behaved. Why? Somebody's watching. Why? Because that somebody's watching is not part of me, is outside of me. I'm not it. It's not me. I have to behave. Same thing, because you're not part of the brain. Brain is not part of you. You're not the brain. Brain is not you. When you're looking for thought, that's an evidence that you're not the brain. Brain is not you. Why? Because the brain stops making thoughts. Because it says, oh, an outsider is watching me, because you're not the brain. Brain is not you. So what brains suggest, thoughts, images, false attractions, all these things that it comes up to it, what it does, it's not you. We just proved it with this little exercise, that you're not the brain. Brain is not you. So what it produces, it's not pertaining you. It's not about you. It's its malfunction that is falsely creating things that is irrelevant to you and independent from you. It's a different system. Its own malfunction, not you. If you understand this, that's the first big step for recovering from OCD and OCD subsets, including HOCD, and getting back to rewiring your brain through neuroplasticity and understanding these exercises and these facts, which is not just the philosophical point of view, but the modern science have been able to prove it beyond the shadow of the doubt, that that's how it actually is. And we are all duped by the fact that the brain is a virtual world and thinks whatever signs and illusions, delusions, it's like a delusional person, but the brain has gone into a glitch. If you understand it, then you can help it to come back to the default setting. Short of the long. So anyhow, if you can make an appointment with me on Skype, we'll discuss it further. But at this point, I think that should be enough for now. Maher says, Mehran, how do you respond intrusive HOCD thoughts during intimacy? Nothing. You keep on doing. Dr. Jan Weiner says, look, there is no woman actually who is always into it when they're having sex with their man. They could be thinking about the children. They could be thinking about the laundry. They could be thinking, they're not there. There are other thoughts in their heads. Now, these other thoughts could be anything. It's not always necessarily about your car or your weather or how much is the, I don't know, next trip, a vacation or whatever it is, or laundry or the children. It could be intrusive thoughts, thoughts that has got nothing to do with you and repulses you. bothers you. Either way, it's a thought. It doesn't matter the content of it. The content of the thought is irrelevant. What it is irrelevant. It makes no difference. It's just that it's intrusive thoughts, unwelcome thoughts, unwanted thoughts. So you deal with them the same way. You just go through your sex, do what you're doing, and let that thought be there without paying attention to the thought, and say, okay, it's like you're with your girlfriend in the jungle and you just feel randy and handy and you guys get at it. But you're so hot with each other that you have no choice. The ground has got worms and it's got shit and it's got debris, but you say, the hell with it. I'm not going to pay attention with those, even though they exist. I'm just going to make love. I'm just going to do what I want to do. The two of us, enjoy our sexual intimacy. But those other things that are irrelevant, that are present and are not of your choice or taste or preference or agreement to be there, they're there. But you ignore them and you pay attention as much as you can. Despite of it all, you go through with your sexual activities. And that's the same way you should carry on when you are intimate with your partner, and yet you have these intrusive thoughts there. So you just focus on your girlfriend, regardless of what thought shows up, instead of being misdirected and being distracted to pay attention to what the thought says. You just treat it as, oh, there are poos around, there's worms around, the debris around, but I'm going to focus on what I want to focus, which is making love to my girlfriend. And eventually the brain understands that when these thoughts show up, they don't have priority. I don't have to pay attention to them, because you don't. And it gets used to the fact that they can be there, but I'm oblivious to it. I don't even know it. After a while, you won't even notice it. They come and go. And you say, so what? What's the power of a thought? Without me, it's impossible for a thought, any thought, to become an action in the actual world. It is only me who can allow it or not. So I am the boss, not the thought. So the thought can come. It's not serving me well. I let it die by the wayside. Pay no attention to it. And after a while, the brain understands that it's no longer a fearful and a scary or hazardous or some alarming event, and settles down and relaxes. And these signals of emotional danger, signals to protect you by amygdala, is no longer being sent so sensitively and so focusedly. And then it starts learning to let go and not be so sensitive about it, because there is no danger. So you retrain the brain, rewire the brain. All right. Tammy says, May 16. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Tammy says, my dad was generally abusive and always beat me and my sister for the smallest things. Well, that's unfortunate. And many cultures still think that's the way they could bring focus to their children, while it is a sign of their own shortcomings and inability to communicate with their children. And instead of give priority to love and affection and kindness and communication, they want to show their dominance, and they want to show their ability to get things done without really doing it in a right way, but enforcing it. That's the culture of many countries, because they themselves have been beaten when they were kids, and that's the only way they know how to communicate, because they don't know any better, which of course does not excuse them, but that's their mentality, and comes from lack of peace and understanding and lack of strength. When an adult beats a child for any reason, because beating is not the solution for anything, but let's just add this, just for the sake of argument, when an adult beats a child for no reason, which there is no reason to beat a child anyhow, but for no guilt of his, just because he wants him to do something, that shows the inability of being a good adult, good thinking father or mother, and it also shows the weakness of that adult that is resorting to violence instead of teaching and communicating and helping for a young man or woman to grow and develop and learn through experience and knowledge. And instead, the fear of not being able to control, because they're in their mind they want to control the child, because they're unable to connect with the child and be a good role model, they resort to this kind of behavior, which is the only behavior they have learned. And that's how they learn something, which obviously is not much. So um, understand that he might have not really meant to harm you guys, but he was not wise enough to know that this is a very, very bad thing, unacceptable thing. And the effects of it on the child, it's definitely negative. Some people need to hear that from their youth to understand that. And he apparently didn't. Jose says, hi, this is Jose again, 24 male. How do we deal with feelings lost in life? I just recently graduated from university and feel a lot of uncertainty about my future. It is like, what now? Yeah, okay, that is a normal feeling. Don't worry about it. That is how every one of us at that age that just graduated, we just finished, it's just like a group or a person takes a hard journey and puts all the efforts to climb a mountain to the summit. But guess what? When you guys get to the summit, then you say, now what? We're here now. What do we do? That's the question, because the journey finished for that particular project. Now what do I do with it? Okay, I learned all these things. Now, where can I, apply it? That will come by you trying to put your foot, take the first step into um, some occupation, some job, some endeavor, and you learn how to apply what you've learned based on what that company has to offer or teaches, and learn the ways of business, the way of applying those information into their real workforce, and get the benefits. And bit by bit, you'll see how to apply it. It's one thing to buy the wrench. The other thing is to know for which bolt, how to use it, which way to turn it. So don't lose focus. You already have the basics. All now you need to know is to how to apply what you know to an appropriate situation where it can actually work in tandem, that it is perfectly suitable trait towards helping that particular project to proceed and come to fruition. And how you feel is just how we all felt after university. Chris says, do you have any tips on how to become a more masculine man in order to attract a feminine woman? I think polarity between the masculine and feminine is very important when it comes to dating. Yes, it does, but you don't have to do anything to be masculine. You are masculine. This idea that because all these bombardments of all these other discussions, political discussions about, how to, there's so many different kind of lifestyles out there, and that interferes with the thoughts that, and the propaganda, it kind of takes away from the traditional way of thinking about male and female, and these extraordinary thoughts are interfering with what is needed no extra effort to present it. You're masculine. You're a man, you're heterosexual, you're a man, you're masculine. You don't have to do anything about it. Just be a gentleman, be a good man, decent man, provide, be able to provide, One of the things that girls like is your ability to provide. You've got to get a good job, make money, and not to be violent, not to be harsh, be compassionate, be helpful, support your woman, and help her to gain knowledge and experience in life so she can be independent if she wants to be. And then together you can team up. So you nurture her to become strong. That's a sign of a man that is behind and backing up a woman. And when she wants to fall, he will grab her because he can provide and he's doing his own duties. So he's not looking for service, he's actually giving service as much as he can. And of course, there are certain duties that a woman is supposed to comply with. And that's their part, it's on them. So you just need to be as much as you can educated, have a good job, provide, be decent, helpful, generous, compassionate. Being strong means being able to give love and protection, not to be harsh and rude and arrogant. That's not being masculine, that's being stupid. So you don't have to do anything to be masculine other than the fact that you got to take care of yourself, eat well, go to gym, exercise, and don't hang around the hoodlums. Have lifestyle, have good class and manners to deal with, interact, and treat women so they feel good about themselves. That's a sign of a man, that you make women feel proud and good and valuable. You know, a simple gesture of kindness to your girlfriend, buying a little flower now and then, that's a gentleman, that's a man. By giving love and attention, that shows your strength. And the ones who can't understand that, that's on her, not that you were not masculine enough. Being masculine is not to be arrogant and smelly and farting and asshole. That's not being a man. That's not being masculine. So when you endow in your knowledge and ability to provide and experience and take care of your body and take care of your mind and be gentle and balanced, that's masculinity. And also provide. Blank Earth says, hi, I'm from America, age 25. America, dear, is a big continent. Where? South America, maybe there's a country, has a name, because that's an area again. All right. And I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I am from America, age 25. Doesn't tell me much. Only the age 25 does. So, Aman is here, says, do you like SRK songs? Shah Rukh Khan. I don't know SRK. What SRK? Oh, Shah Rukh Khan. I don't know if he sings. I know he's a good actor, but I've seen many of his movies in the past, but I don't know that he sings actually. And if he does, is it his real voice or somebody's singing for him? And good looking honky says, Meran, hi, Peter North. Here, old adult film star retired. Really interesting stream. Thanks, Peter North. I don't understand. Is that you're just saying that Peter North, adult film star, retired? And I'm sorry, what's the significance of it? Here, many people retire. So, um, okay. Um, Shelby says, and what to do with HOCD where there is no fear or discomfort at all? It makes it look like pleasure and realness. Again, that is how HOCD behaves. The brain doesn't understand it's a malfunctioning signal. The brain thinks there's a signal, so the body has to react. And the body reacts to the concept of sex, not the fact that the gender of the sex that is being focused on or shown is the same gender as he is. So therefore, that makes him homosexual. No, the brain is making the body react, but the body is reacting to the idea of the concept of sex, whatever is relevant to it. And just because the trigger was a male or same gender, that doesn't mean that you're interested in that gender. It just means the brain has changed that, taken that cue and translated it to the concept of sex, and then your body is reacting to the concept of sex, not to that particular gender that triggered the concept of sex interpretation. All right. Again, remember, guys, for further detailed discussion, you can go on my site, mind@6truth.com, make an appointment for a Skype consultation, and we'll discuss what's concerning you one-on-one on Skype. Because I can only come up with a bunch of things here since we want to go through and we have some limited time. And I think we discussed quite important points today in regards to that question, several different topics of it. Blank Earth says I tried going to live with extended family, going to live with extended family. Blank Earth, again, let me know. Oh, okay, there's a 25, and you still haven't told me where. So I tried going to live with extended family, but I was only with them for 3 months, and I couldn't take it anymore because they seemed highly conditional. My mind keeps spiraling and ruminating over it. I don't know what the topic is. It's very general what you're saying. What extended family, what thoughts, what ruminating, what about? And he says, it just sucks to me because after all my life of not being with them, not growing up with my brother they raised, and never having a good home life, I thought going to go be with them was the way. Now I have some element of regret because it was what they called a privileged life in their multi-million dollar home. I was expecting to have a new life there with my brother, but guess not. I'm a male living in the state of Maryland. Uh-huh. Well, okay, what's the point here, Blank Earth? As I understand it, is that you grew up separate from your brothers and sisters. How? I don't know. Again, you haven't told me. But then you reconnected with them and they happened to have a privileged life. In other words, they had $1 million house that you didn't have while you grown up. Now you were living with them and you are bothered because there were certain kind of rules to live with them, which again, I don't know what those rules are. You didn't tell me that. But it is natural to understand that when you're entering and being added to some already existing setup and a system or a family lifestyle or organization, then you're supposed to somehow, within reasons, to adhere to their concept of lifestyle and manners or how to interact or the rules of that house, because it's their already established existing house and lifestyle. Or did you expect to go in there, still have your own way of doing things? Well, that is why you want to be independent and have your own place eventually when you have a job and all that. You can't expect that. You couldn't do that in your own home when you were, let's say, if you grew up with your parents and however usually people grow up. There's still certain rules because the father and mother want to make sure the child is growing up in having a proper values and and adhering to certain proper uh, steps to take to attend to the chores and duties and homeworks and everything else. So there are always some rules. So in this home, there's also, just because you're 25 years old, that doesn't mean you enter somebody else's that you never lived with them home and then suddenly things should be just independent for you and just live there and be part of them, but do your own, have your own rules. It wouldn't not necessarily work unless, it's a different, I don't know, mentality or situation. So you need to understand that you got to balance it. You got to endure the changes until you be able to provide for yourself and move out and have your own, and then you'll have your life the way you want. There's certain balance and give and take involved there, but again, I don't know the whole details, so I can't really. I just want you to be reasonable, not to be too harsh on them and not too harsh on yourself. I understand there are probably certain things that you mean well and you have a point, but I don't know those, so I can't make a general discussion or judgment on that. And Dan says, question, looking for the thoughts makes it quite still. Thank you. But, when the OCD has you as a hostage, I still find it hard to get out. It's like glue. It's a fucker. Yeah, true. But again, that is irrelevant to what I said. I just said that example to show you and prove to you that you're not the brain. And the brain is not you. You're separate entities, separate systems. That's what my intention with that exercise was. Having said that, coming back to OCD, knowing that you're not the brain helps you to deal with the OCD malfunction, OCD disorder, because you know from the roots that what OCD does is independent. You don't have to adhere to it because you're not the brain and you can't be what it says. If you're not the brain, you cannot be what the brain suggests and makes up. Brain's job is an organ. Every organ has a job. Kidney filters my blood. A liver detoxifies and so on and so forth. Brain makes thoughts. But I am neither one. I am the watcher. I'm the one who has employed all these organs to do certain things for me, but I'm not them. So when I have proven to you, and the science and philosophy has proven to you that you're not the brain, brain is not you, then that's a good basis to be able to understand that OCD is not you. Because OCD is certain thought-based behavior that the body reacts to those thoughts, and those thoughts are made by the brain, and the brain is what you're not. So when you're not the brain, brain is not you. What brain makes is not even you either. You can't be what brain makes when you're not what the brain is. So knowing that helps you to be able to understand what Dr. Schwartz have said in his 4 steps dealing with OCD, and then to be able to rewire your brain by understanding how to deal with OCD. When you say it's stuck, that's what you need to understand, and how to rewire and retrain your brain and get out of that stuck or glue that you're talking about. So watch that video that I put the link here, and then you will be more understanding of what I'm trying to imply or refer or say. Yeah, it does feel like you want to fight your brain, but because you're resistant, you're trying to force it not to show up, and you're trying to destroy the thought, stop the thought. The solution to this is don't worry about stopping or destroying thought. Let the thought be, but understand the thoughts are not you, and the thoughts are not action, cannot become an action by themselves. It's only you who's in charge and could allow them or not allow them. So therefore, you're independent. You just have to learn how to treat the thought. Not that the thought is you, or you have to comply to what it says, or to be subjected to what it says, because it's all about the goal finding center, reward finding center, the reward center, goal finding center, reward center, and habit center, which they each influence each other at every stage, which is a long discussion. I've had the discussion in many of my live streams. It takes 25 minutes to go through it. But I have videos on that, or you can go on my site and make an appointment and we'll discuss it in detail. The role of amygdala, the role of basal ganglia in midbrain, which houses striatum, where there's goal finding center, reward center, and habit center, how they're interconnected, and how the obsession and compulsion leads to dopamine to be secreted, which dopamine is addictive. And after a while, doing the compulsion for obsession, you're actually no longer doing the compulsion for the obsession. You're doing it to get the dopamine. Because every time you do the compulsion for the obsession, you go, feel good now. But that is exactly when dopamine is secreted from the reward center. And every time that this happens, you become addicted to dopamine. After a while, you're not just doing the compulsion for obsession, you're doing it to get the dopamine unconsciously. And every time that this happens, the habit center is stimulated as well, because they're all on top of each other in a striatum. So pretty soon, you're no longer doing the compulsion for the obsession. You're no longer doing the compulsion for even the dopamine, even though you'll enjoy it. You're doing it because it's your habit. And that's where it becomes more difficult to get rid of OCD. That's why it's so important for you to understand the mechanism and how things are working and what are the components of the brain that are malfunctioning, which is included caudate nucleus in a striatum that is designed to shut down the intrusive thoughts. And when it malfunctions, it doesn't shut down. And because it doesn't shut down, you say it's hanging on. So it must be me. I must have wanted to be. No, it's not. It's just that it's malfunctioning to shut down the intrusive thoughts. The prefrontal cortex says, oh, I got to answer because there's no response coming. So it keeps repeating it, and the caudate nucleus is not shutting it down. And you start wondering, oh, it must have mean something. No, it doesn't. It just means there's a malfunction. So now you got to learn how to help the brain to ignore the malfunction and come back to the default setting through neuroplasticity. That's going to be another topic for another time to discuss. But I have already put the video for the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz, which can help you quite a bit in understanding how to help yourself. Okay. Jay Carter says, what was the exercise? Okay, you got to watch the video again. I can't repeat that. And I need gender, age, and where you're tuning in from for everyone who's joining us here. And Blanker says it was a couple of years ago. I don't think it was a matter of rules per se, but the environment got psychologically chaotic. I don't want to live my life in accordance to other people's expectations. Yes, it's very true. You want to be independent. For that reason, that should be your motivator to get your, what if you have not finished your studies, get your studies done. If you don't have a good job, get a good job, advance in it, focus on the job, make money to be independent enough to have your own independent life so you don't have to live your life based on other people's expectations. That's your motivator. Some of the hardships in life that are not detrimental, it could be a motivator for you to elevate your life to standards and level that you expect to be free and independent. Dan says, I'll stick to that. Brain and me are not the same, and we'll check the video. I'll check your website because I'm almost there. Just need the last push. Okay, good. You can always go and make an appointment with me on mind@seekstruth.com. I put the link there, and then we'll hash it out and what exactly time works for you and me both. You can choose any time that is on the site. Doesn't matter. Then on Skype through text, we'll fine tune it what works for both of us time-wise. Dan says, dopamine drill needs to be killed. Best response. Okay. All right, guys. And Jay Carter says, female, 38, Oklahoma, US says, thank you for your videos. It's life-changing. I'm delighted to hear that, dear, and thank you for sharing that with me, and thank you for taking time and participating in our live stream. Guys, it's been 1 hour and 12 minutes. I think it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I'll have another live stream tomorrow around 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Vancouver time. And as we usually have, uh, barring something unexpected happening, on Saturdays every week. But I also try to fit in now and then, like today, something extra. I don't know, maybe I'll have one tonight as well, but maybe not. Depends on really my schedule and how I feel like and how I want to to uh, to engage for helping others, and at the same time um, um, enjoy interacting with you guys. And Jay Carter has helped the channel with Super Chat. Thank you very much for that, Jay. And I wish you all a wonderful day. In the meantime, be good to yourself, to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com, making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.
But we too, like the iceberg, have 1,000 times bigger powers that is not visible, and we must. Why? Is it something we're rambling on and I expect you to accept it? Or is there actually another power within us? Would you come and help me out? Okay. What I want you to do is put your hands underneath my arms and just lift me up. There we go. Okay, now, that's my physical part, right? Same thing, again, with that. Just want to see if there's any difference. Go ahead. Now, go ahead. Now, this, go ahead, when you're ready.
Go ahead.
So you see, this is different than what he was doing, and I'm not really doing anything. You convinced?
Yeah.
So are you guys convinced that there is something other than, thank you. Thank you very much.